whether Napoli are deserved winners or not, Nicky Bandini, I know, was pointing out that they played a lot less games this season than Inter. Inter are going into this this Champions League final at the weekend, though, having lost the Serie A title by 1 point. And you wonder how much that affects him going in, or is Simone Inzaghi so clocked into his players he's able to navigate away from that sense of defeat?
I think, if you don't mind, James, if I answer this. Yeah, I think that when you look at Inter, I think what was really interesting this season, when we go to the first game when they drew 2-2 against Genoa, is that there was a level of expectation with Inter. And Inzaghi had recognised that really early. So he started to rotate. And if you look at those early results that Inter had, a lot of 1-0s. And that was quite good, because people at the time were a little unimpressed. But the one interesting thing is, if you look at the amount of minutes that the Inter players have played, even the squad players, have played a lot. And he played this idea that we're going to be going on all fronts this season, so we're going to do that. And if you look at people like Taremi, Fratesi, so many of them I could name, Zielinski, they've all played minutes, and it looked like it was going to work out. Inter probably got one of the best squad depths in Italy, and it nearly worked. And this is why I won't get in trouble for saying this, but this is why I have a little worry for the final, because when you look at I wouldn't say collapse, but the semi-final against Milan in the Coppa Italia was pretty poor, because they looked leggy. And if you look at the game against Parma, the 2-2, they conceded 2 goals to concede that. Lazio, again, was a bad result at the end. And they looked tired. And one of the things is when you look at the game that everyone talks about, that Barcelona game, Inter went into both of those legs trying to kill it early. And they went hard. And they went hard to kill it early. And they did it for a reason. Because they knew that they weren't capable of going toe-to-toe with them for that level of time. And that was the problem. So they did it really well. And yes, that game could have gone any way. So for me, my biggest fear was when I watched the Paris Saint-Germain game against Arsenal, and I thought, they don't look tired. They just don't look tired. And Inter, even against Como in the last game, I was thinking, So I think that Inter probably will approach it in trying to go and get the job done early. I'm no tactician. I've got no insight into what he does, even though I work for the club. Trust me, I've got nothing. But I just see the fact that I feel that even with all the rotation, the boys are tired, and it's going to be really difficult. So it's going to be an interesting final, because the one thing that people are saying about Inter at the moment is that they don't particularly defensively, they've got a lot weaker in the last couple of months as well. If you look at the goals they've conceded in the Champions League, it's pretty good. I'd say it's more than good. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But that's my take on it. What do you guys think? I mean, I'll ask you about the question, but who would you back on this Champions League final? Inter? Sorry, I put you on the spot.
No, you're not putting me on the spot. I've thought about this a lot. I think it's going to be hard to see past PSG, not only because perhaps the moment rather than the stars are aligned for them. This has been part of a project that Luis Enrique seems to have nailed this season, amongst other things. I know Simone Inzaghi, not taking anything away from his genius as a coach, but I suspect that his mind is already partly on Saudi Arabia, paying him 3 or 4 times what he's earning at the moment at Inter, despite his protestations that he is not going to comment on anything and he's focused on the match. I don't think you can be unaffected by that entirely. And likewise, I don't know if the players will be totally unaffected. They're also a much older team, and this is where the tired legs are going to have to work. I loved what you were saying earlier on, actually. I thought it was a genius analysis of when you were saying, and both of you agreed, that you love your 0-0s. And I thought, well, this is the philosophy of football, This is the philosophy that either you can try and score a goal, or you can try and stop people scoring a goal. And both sides are philosophically deep. You know, if you've ever tried to score a goal against 10/11 men in front of a goal, it's nigh on impossible if you think about it. And there's an art to that. There is an art to that, which, you know, going back to the sort of Italian football that we saw back in the 90s, there's an art to that which captured us, you know, and I think it's still there. It looked majestic, actually, for us. It looked very majestic when they were playing. And the question is, can Inter bring all of that into play? Can they score first, score early and shut down? I'm not sure they can against this PSG, even though they've got question marks in the defence, if that answer makes sense.
I think just really quickly, sorry, James, because I just obviously with it being Inter, I'll project to you later. But just with it, from my point of view, I think when you look at Inter, when you look at Bastoni playing on the left of the three and his passing range of what he's got with Canaloglu, his passing range, and with DiMarco and Dumfries. I mean, how many goals has Dumfries scored this season? I should probably know. I think it's about 8 or something. He's got 11 assists or something ridiculous. They're changing that wing back position. They are really changing it. I think there's probably, with the argument of a couple of others, probably they're two of the best in the world at the moment. Again, it takes a lot of energy, as I mentioned before. Lautaro, there's a lot of talent there, and it's not like it was in 2010 when Inter won the treble, where it was the aging team that was the end, not the beginning. This is a team that still has a good core. So I think that this match and the experience that they have, I think that's. I'll ask you to. I'll put this back to everyone else, because I would look at this and think it's a final. And while I agree, Paris Saint-Germain look young, hungry, and like you said, it's almost written in the stars. But at the same point, I would say the experience that got them through Barcelona with like a Cherby, how old is he? 37 now, 38, scoring at that late stage. Is that sort of experience, that sort of mentality that is the one, not just the one, but one of the big hopes that I have for the final. And yes, it will be a bit of a smash and grab. It will be. It will be about the fact of defending as we've done all season at the early stages, using that quick transition of play with the likes of Bastoni, with that amazing left foot and everything else, and putting Lautaro and Thuram behind the lines. I mean, okay, that's the only thing, because Hansi Flick played a ridiculously high line against Barcelona, which fell into Inter's hands. To be fair, I don't think Paris Saint-Germain will do that, but I don't think it's beyond reason that Inter win this on the basis of experience and talent. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little bit biased here, but I still have to. Oh, come on! I've got to have something. So, do you think it's good? What's your? I've not asked you. What's your point on this one? Who are you backing?
Well, I mean, I'm biased as well because I do like Italian football, but I think PSG on paper are rightly the favourites. But I think you mentioned that 2010 the tripletta with Inter, and obviously it's a very long time in the past now. But that was a season where things just, it was one of those, almost like a magical season for Inter, where things just seemed to just go right. And I think obviously it hasn't gone right in the league, but I think in the Champions League, there's been a lot of skill, there's been a lot of tactical kind of ingenuity on display, but also they have had, they've rode the luck. And I think sometimes for all the tangibles, there's also the intangible. And I think Inter got that element that the stars are kind of aligned to without using the cliche. But is that going to... They've kind of come through the fire, as it were. And are they going to be able to do in the final? I think possibly, yes, I would say Inter, but I am biased as well. Although not as biased as you, but I am biased.
there is one reason, I think, that we need to get behind Inter, because then Arsenal won't be able to say we lost to the champions. So that's, I think it's a powerful reason.